welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at another Temu tattoo machine, another machine by a company called Poseidon, arguably one of the bigger names on Temu when it comes to tattoo equipment. I've reviewed a couple of the machines in the past to varying results. So how's this one going to fare up? Is it worth looking at, or is it one that's worth avoiding? So I'm going to do a time-lapse video of a tattoo on a practice skin, and then I'm going to return with some opinions and some thoughts about this machine. So we'll jump in and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so now I've had a chance to use this on some practice skins. Let's have a talk about what I think about this machine. So the build quality of the machine overall is fairly good. The machine itself, the body and the grip are made out of aluminium. The battery itself is made of plastic. It's got a plastic housing. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but we can see a few imperfections on the plastic when it's been cast, but I guess it's a relatively cheap machine, so they've got to cut corners somewhere. It does come with a standard USB-C charging port on the top, but we'll talk about the battery in a moment. The grip itself is a ratchet style adjustable grip, and the ratchet is fairly good. It's not the strongest ratchet I've ever used, but it's by no means a weak ratchet. That's a minor point. Obviously, being a adjustable machine, we've got our stroke adjust in the middle here, and it's got a fairly stiff ratchet on that, so I'm sure that you won't accidentally be adjusting that whilst you're tattooing. The same goes with the ratchet on the tip though I said it's not the strongest, it's not accidentally adjusting whilst you're tattooing, like on some machines that don't have a ratchet style on it. The battery itself is a push-on, it's got some ball bearings that hold it in, very similar to some Dragon Hawk machines we've seen in the past, and I have tried this with the yellow Poseidon machine that I tried before, and the batteries are interchangeable, so that's useful because I haven't been able to find a auxiliary replacement battery for this machine on its own. So if I didn't have the second machine, we would be in the situation of if the battery went flat during a tattoo, we'd have to flip to another machine, we wouldn't be able to change the battery over. The battery display itself is a decently bright display. It's got all the things we need onto it, a battery indicator. It's got 3 memory settings, so we can save our voltages on there. We've got our voltage and our hertz in the middle, and we've got a timer at the bottom. It does come with the dot mode, the stinger mode as Poseidon likes to call it, but generally I don't find that very useful, so I don't use that feature. But you can save the memory function to either a traditional mode or the stinger mode if you so wish. So build quality, it's fairly solid. I don't feel that this would be falling apart in your hand. It's got a fairly decent weight to it, so I didn't find that I was having to force the machine down to keep the needle towards the skim. So that was quite good. When it comes to the packaging, we've got our standard Poseidon style packaging. This is an outer sleeve that fits on their generic black box. The usual professional 4 tattoo phrasing on the side. Again, I think that's just poor translation from Chinese. The interesting thing I found out about this though is the manual itself is a generic manual that they changed the artwork for this specific machine on it. And it comes with some interesting features such as, according to this, H, which is the bottom here, is the usage time. And F, which is right in the middle by the battery here, is apparently the needle insertion point. And this button here apparently is the needle stroke. So it's the manual's pretty much naff. It doesn't really tell us anything specific to the machine. It's a generic manual. But you know, that's neither here nor there. The machine itself is fairly straightforward to use. The important thing though is, how does it tattoo? Now I found when I was using, for this particular tattoo, I was using a 9 round shader to do the lines, to get some thick lines, and they went in easily enough. I didn't find any problems with them. I didn't find any weak lines or parts where I was seeing single needles. Then I moved to a 13 curved mag to do the shading, and they went in fine. The particular skin that I've used a fair few times, so I'm fairly familiar with how it accepts the ink, and it went in fairly easy. And unlike some of the other machines I've used, it was fairly easy to get the dark blacks that I needed in the bottom of the shades. So I'd be confident if I was doing a tattoo on a client with this on real skin that we'd be able to get a decent tattoo. As for the reliability of the machine, I don't know how long it's going to last over time. But with that being said, I didn't notice any heat dissipation or the machine getting warm at all after the tattoo, which I found with some cheaper machines. So theoretically, the motor in it is a fairly decent motor, and we're not going to be looking at the motor getting degradation or overheating and getting performance issues. But again, longevity I can't really speak on. I haven't had it long enough to talk on that. Price-wise, this machine comes in for 35 to about 65 euros on Temu, depending on who you buy it from. The 35 euro one is exactly the same as the 60 euro one, so there's no point overpaying for that. And you can buy it in a kit where you get some extras with it, some transfer paper, some ink caps, some questionable quality inks and so forth, a handful of needles, depending on which version you buy. But honestly, I wouldn't buy the kit because if you're in Europe like myself, you can't use the ink because it's not REACH compliance, and the needles are of questionable quality. All the other things in there, your ink caps, you've probably got yourself already if you're doing tattooing or looking to get into tattooing. So the last point to talk about is, would I recommend this machine? Well, as a learning tattooer or a beginning tattooer, I don't think this would be a bad machine to get your hands on. It's fairly solid, it's got some decent weight to it, and it pushes the needles fairly well. How it'd stand up all day, every day in a professional environment, I can't really comment on that yet, but I would be confident that it would do a decent tattoo. So if I was in a situation where I only had one machine and I was looking for a backup, I don't think this would be a bad option to have as a backup machine. Or something to use as your first machine whilst you get used to the techniques and you're building up your client base, and then down the way buy something a bit better. So have you used this machine? Are you looking to buy this machine yourself? Have you got any thoughts and opinions about this machine or Poseidon in general? Let me know in the comments below, and with that said, I will see you in the next one.